Hello everybody, welcome to the live TA session for altcoins. I'm Rekt Capital. Welcome, thank you so much for coming today. Hope you're having an amazing day. I'm just going to do a quick few technical checks in terms of the sound, the whether you guys can hear me. Of course, there's going to be a 20-second lag in terms of what I'm saying live. And if you have any questions, keep posting them in the live chat. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you might have. Of course, I'm just going to have this technical check now, so bear with me for a second. Awesome, perfect. Well, everybody, welcome. Let's officially start. We're also going to be waiting a bit for a few more people to join, but Roshan, Gary, Timothy, Loris, Marco, Ranj, Grant, and Nick, thanks so much for coming. Awesome to see a lot of familiar faces in the live chat. Really appreciate that you guys want to learn more about crypto, want to learn more about altcoins, and technical analysis in general, learning about the psychology in the market. It's a beautiful thing. You know, the recurring patterns we see in the chart, we also see in our day-to-day lives in the form of habits, routines, and whatnot, cognitive biases as well. So those are the same things that are imprinted in the price action. So it's awesome to hear about it. Nick is asking, are we having altcoin party today? All right, well, let's get right into it and I'll answer that question. Guys, yesterday people were bearish on altcoins and bearish on the market, and today people are bullish on altcoins and bullish on the market. So, I mean, whenever you see red candles to the downside, people are bearish. Whenever you see green candles to the upside, people are bullish. But of course, you have to always bear in mind price context, and we're going to look at a few altcoins just to showcase this context in a bit more detail. Of course, a few people left some comments on the Twitter on my tweet about this session, so I've already included them in the watch list. If you guys have anything that you'd like to see me cover, leave those requests in the live chat. I'd be more than happy to do them for you guys. This session is for you. It's for your questions, for your TA requests. So go ahead and answer questions whenever you have a moment. Will we discuss Link 2? Leslie asks. All right, let's do that. Let's talk about Link in a second. I'm just going to queue a few of these. Let's have a look at the Binance. I'm going to queue a few altcoins from you guys, and we'll talk about them step by step. How does that sound? Coin1x1, smiley face. Smiley face back to you, man. Ionescu, why such a depressing chart? Many altcoins are going to look this depressing on the macro time frame. But we're going to talk about what this macro time frame looks like, or at least what it means in the short to mid-term. John Doe saying today there's a little relief. Wouldn't call it bullish. That's the thing. You know, you have to bear in mind price context. Enjin coin, Roshan is suggesting, so let's put that on the list. I think Bittrex has more price history, but we'll see. ALGO, Ren is in, rather RVN is in there. Binance, Vechain on Binance. Link is killing it. That's right. It's pretty amazing what it's doing. It's going against the laws of gravity and laws of technical analysis. The controversial Zcash is what Timothy is suggesting. So let's have a look at that. We looked at a few of these, in fact, in the... I'm going to look at the Bittrex chart for more price history on the Zcash. Balthazar, RVN is on there. So, all right, let's start. Let's get started. I'm going to hide the watch list so that we have a full view And I'm also going to be looking at a few things for you guys. All right, I'm going to include ADA and Aion as the last ones for now before we continue with the session. Cardano's got more price history on Bittrex, and Aion is actually a trade we took in Rekt Premium, which before that very strange pump that we'll talk about that in a second. Anyway, let's talk about Ripple. So if we just zoom out, here on Ripple, and we see that Ripple cycles, right? The market psychology is very clear here. We see cycles, lower highs every single time. But what Ripple is doing at this point in time on the Bitcoin chart, on the Bitcoin pair, is essentially a double bottom. But this double bottom isn't picture perfect like you'd see on Ethereum USD or the altcoin market cap, or even slightly on Dogecoin. But in any case, I'm just going to bring this up so that you guys can see that a bit better. Essentially speaking, one could say that this is an accumulation channel in the grander scheme of things on the macro perspective. But the thing is, it doesn't have that picture perfect double bottom like the altcoin market cap or Ethereum USD on the weekly. It kind of failed here in having that double bottom. It rejected against the 200 daily EMA, which is an important long-term gauge for investor sentiment. So it's a bit of a shame that didn't happen, that we didn't have that picture perfect double bottom as we have across a few majors, but we still have that higher low, and that seems to be respected. So as long as this higher low continues to be respected, then we're going to probably see something along the lines of this accumulation channel, and very similar, in fact, to what we might have seen with Bitcoin. So if you've seen a YouTube video of mine where I spoke about Bitcoin's market cycles, we always see Bitcoin start a new cycle with a higher low. We always see a bottom and then a higher low, and then we see that sort of consolidation within an accumulation range before we see a breakout from that range. And XRP could be doing that, but it does have a few fundamental issues. That lawsuit has recently come to light that they might not be able to avoid that, so I don't know how that's going to impact price. But fundamentally, whatever we see in the news, that somehow always ties in with the market psychology. So far, the market psychology for Ripple is that it will continue, or at least, well, that's what it has to prove to us. It has to continue that higher low tendency, that people are buying at a premium every single time. And so far, we're seeing that relief over here, that this higher low is being respected. So let's go on to ICX. And ICX is an interesting one because we spoke about ICX 2 weeks ago, in fact. If a lot of you guys were actually at that session, so it's great to see familiar faces joining the sessions here. If we just look at ICX, and 2 weeks ago I spoke about this descending triangle, we saw that run up for ICX. People were really euphoric about it, a correction, this descending triangle. And I was talking about a potential breakdown from there because it just didn't look good, coiling in towards the apex of that descending triangle, followed by a breakdown. But ever since then, we've seen this sort of lower low develop on ICX, which isn't necessarily conclusive. It isn't conclusive. All I can say at the moment is that this structure might be turning into a Chuvasha fork, and it sounds like a mouthful. It's essentially, the way to think about a Chuvasha fork is it's this structure really, whereby price continues to make lower lows with this trend line, and then we see a decision against this resistance right over here. So I'm just going to turn that into a red color, just to showcase that it's a resistance. So at the moment, definitely a positive thing for ICX in a sense that it's tapping that liquidity below the lower lows here and here. So if we can get that good volume to just let it spur on from this lower low trend line, that would be positive for Icon. But at the same time, we have to bear in mind that we are essentially in this Chuvasha fork, potential Chuvasha fork formation. And this is the resistance to bear in mind with that. So let's see how that price strength confirmation happens over here. So far so good. That liquidity has been tapped into with these blue circles. So far so good. Let's see how we see continuation here, how that buy volume appears and manifests in price. RVN, and we'll talk about a few of your questions, guys, after RVN. RVN, well, this is an interesting one, and I'm having shades of KNC. I don't know if you guys remember from the live session a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we had we looked at RVN, and I think it was somewhere around this 200 EMA, whether it was a resistance or whatever the case may be. We spoke about this structure, and the fact that it's maintaining this lower low is pretty bullish. It's very good that we've got that downward wick into this lower low, so positive for RVN. That's quite good news, and it does remind me of KNC, because when I looked at KNC 2 weeks ago and I said that that trade is right down my alley, it rallied 30% later to the upside, and me looking at RVN right now, it kind of feels like that. It kind of feels like there's something good happening here. But what we just need to bear in mind, guys, is that if we look at XRP BTC very briefly once again, right over here, right, so there's a bounce from this higher low, on ICX a bounce from this lower low, on RVN we're seeing a bounce from the lower low as well. So essentially speaking, we are seeing extended sell side action now followed by some relief at supports. So these are very crucial supports for these market structures across these altcoins. So if these market structures do fail and break down, that would be quite terrible for altcoins, because they lose market structures that they've been developing for weeks and months. You know, you're seeing this is a market structure for RVN since August. So I think there's a low likelihood that this market structure would be lost at this time. But of course, we need to see what Bitcoin does in the short term. But of course, we are seeing this confluence rebounding from higher time frame supports across altcoins. All right, I've rambled on a little bit there. Guys, I'm just going to check out the live chat, because I have been talking, not looking at the live chat. I'm just going to catch up with you guys here. Leslie, thanks so much. We are going to look at that coin that you suggested. Of course, Marco's saying XTZ. Sure thing, Marco. We'll just add XTZ to the list as well. One of those, the best performing assets. Everybody's going to want to know about that one. I actually haven't looked at ICX, or at least XTZ, in a while. But feel free to post your questions. I'm checking out the live chat as we speak. Just a sip of water. And guys, actually, before we continue, I've actually got a small announcement for you guys that I'm very excited about. And the announcement is that the new live webinar date is announced. The Bitcoin halving and its effect on altcoins. Everything you need to know. That's something that's pretty exciting for me. I mean, that is a huge topic. When I first talked about the Bitcoin halving and its effect on Bitcoin's price, and you can check this article right over here. I'm sure you guys read it by now. It's become quite an important resource where people reference it, talk about the pre-halving retrace, about the prior halving price action compared to the post-halving price action and whatnot. So that's essentially what I'm going to be doing next Thursday, 7 p.m. UTC, about the Bitcoin halving and its effect on altcoins. I'm really excited for that. The pre-order discount, of course, is live. $5.99 is the pre-order discount, so feel free to check it out. A few FAQs for you guys here. Will this webinar be recorded? Of course it will be. If you can't attend the webinar live next Thursday, 7 p.m. UTC, you'll be able to watch it anytime afterwards. And of course, if you don't want to pay by USD, you can of course contact me directly and just pay by Bitcoin. Bitcoin being one of those currencies that you just can't shake off. It's a great currency to just play around with and accept payment, or even, you know, if it comes to using BTC, sometimes those transactions are faster than normal transactions. So definitely a good option. But in any case, the Bitcoin halving and its effect on altcoins, everything you need to know, that is going to be next week. Next week on Thursday. I'm just going to post a link for you guys here in the live chat. Let me just find the live chat because it's gone away for a second. Posting the link to the webinar next week. But in any case, that's something I'm super excited about. And let's dive into a few more altcoin TA requests. Siacoin. But before we dive into Siacoin, let me have a look here at the questions. So Jan is saying there is some bullish hype about OGN also. All right, we'll post ATA on OGN as well. Haven't looked at this coin, I think. Marco saying premium daily updates are amazing, guys. Fire. That's amazing, Marco. I mean, the daily updates and premium on altcoins, on Bitcoin. Today I didn't post a daily update on premium, but that's because yesterday I posted a 2,000 word essay, I think, on Bitcoin's price context on the macro time frame, on the daily time frame, weekly and monthly, whether we're seeing the pre-halving retrace, what's going on there, and its perspective and its price context when it comes to altcoins. So that was a very extensive analysis that I gave for Rekt Premium yesterday. It's a lot to chew on, but of course it is going to be, it's very important. I mean, we're not seeing that much going on today, but I do expect those that analysis to play out in the future. Definitely something I'm excited about. Captain Bean Crypto, when are you going to accept BTC via Lightning 46? It's only a matter of time, I think, Captain Bean Crypto. A matter of time. Mick is saying, historically, we have big players pumped and then offloaded altcoins to acquire more BTC pre-halving. Trying to contextualize these setups. So that's actually a good question. I'll be talking about that in the live webinar because there are a lot of moving parts there. That's a very complex question. I mean, when it comes to the pre-halving retrace for Bitcoin, it's a general market retrace, so altcoins won't be faring well in that respect, but it's very nuanced, something I'll speak about next week in the live webinar. But in any case, let's have a look at Siacoin. So we were talking about XRP, and XRP had that double bottom, right? A double bottom like we're seeing on Siacoin, but the double bottom in XRP BTC wasn't really textbook because it kind of started to fail a bit at its certain level, whereas here for Siacoin, we still have this double bottom maintaining pretty well, but the double bottom will be activated once we break past this red level over here. But at the moment, we're seeing this 200 EMA become a support for Siacoin, but it needs to break above here just to confirm that it's going to be above this level. So essentially speaking, bullish above this level and bearish, not necessarily bearish, but still in that sort of accumulation phase for Siacoin. So this level is a very important price context for Siacoin, and we're seeing this double bottom across many altcoins. So you just want to see a breakout past that double bottom, and once we have that confirmed breakout, something we couldn't really do here, right? Because it's very important that this isn't a bearish retest. So it's important that Siacoin doesn't close on the daily below this level, because that would mean a rejection. So in the short term, essentially speaking, Siacoin is just going to be here. It's just going to be here, trapped, sandwiched between the 200 EMA and the red level here, the resistance that is that really important point for seeing continuation towards the upside. So no real setup. I mean, this is just sort of the price predicament Siacoin is in at the moment. It just needs to be able to either break down from the 200 EMA, which would be a bearish, and more, it would tease further accumulation at lower levels, or whether we're going to see continuation from here. All right, guys. So let's move on to Link. I've got a few things on, lots of TA on Link. So this is what I was talking about on my Twitter. I was talking about this wedging price action here. We saw a breakout from this triangle, new highs, and then we had that pennant-like structure right over here. And essentially speaking, every single contact that Link made with a trend line was a bearish contact. It was bearish confirmation. So rejection here, rejection at B to just turn this level into a new resistance. And then we saw that happen at C again. And then we saw a rejection once again. So in my Twitter, on my tweet, when it comes to Link, I was looking for these previous all-time highs to figure as a support, and that didn't quite happen. It wasn't really picture perfect. I mean, we saw a lot of sell-side action on Bitcoin. So once we saw a breakdown past that all-time high, it was complicated price action. So the fact that we're above this support is positive for Link. I'm just going to delete these things just to get a better read on what we're seeing here, because we might be seeing a lower high, though not necessarily the case. Let me just clear this very quickly. Right here, we're seeing this resistance here. Okay, so it does look like, it's very important to bear a few scenarios in mind. So if we can't see a breakdown here, would we see an M shape? Right, an M shape. Would we see a double top? And the double top support would be this level here, just under the M shape. And if we see a double top like this, if we see Link paint the M shape and break past this level, that would be the confirmation that that double top is activated. But that's only one scenario, because of course we need to see how price turns out, right? We need to see how it evolves. And of course, right over here, we see a lot of FOMO wicks. There are a lot of people still FOMOing into Link prematurely, which isn't a good thing. Loads of FOMOers are trapped in these wicks. So it's very important to just see that confirmation on the daily time frame above this level for it to flip into support, and then we'd see most likely continuation towards the upside. So we need a candle close above there, because a candle close below here could be a bit tricky for Link. I hope that makes sense to you guys. And of course, guys, I am going to do something that I did in the webinar last week about the altcoin hype cycles. I was offering out a few discount codes for people in the webinar, and I thought to myself, well, maybe there'd be a few people in the live stream here who'd be interested in learning TA and leveling up their trading and how they do their technical analysis, and just to understand the price charts and how to really read the psychology in graphic form, which essentially is, candlestick formations, patterns, whatever the case may be. I do offer a trading course, a technical analysis course, so in that webinar, I offered a few discount codes, and I thought it would be only fair to offer you guys a few discount codes as well. I'm going to offer 5 discount codes, $20 discount codes. So let's do it this way. I'm going to post the link in the live chat, and in this message, you're going to have the link to my TA course on Gumroad, and there's going to be a discount code for $20 off. There are only going to be 5 $20 discount codes. So please bear in mind that I'm going to shoot the code now. Here you guys go, $20 off the TA course. There are only 5, so first come, first served. If you guys want to check that out, I think it's a great course, of course. If we just look at the course right over here, a 5-star course. I'm really pleased that, I wouldn't have put out a course if I didn't feel that it was high quality, and I'm really happy that the students are agreeing with me on that. 17 hours of tutorials and webinars. Every tutorial has a webinar. So candlestick analysis tutorial, which is an hour long, has its own webinar as well. Order book reading tutorial has its own webinar as well. Every single tutorial has a webinar just to delve a little bit deeper into the subject and topic matter. Here are a few reviews from the students of the course. Of course, you could read these in your own time, but of course all these reviews can be found on the Rekt Capital website in the testimonials section. So here they are. You can check them out if you'd like. And that's about it for the TA course. $20 off, 5 codes in the live chat now, so feel free to check those out. And let's dive into a few more TA requests. Somebody requested Enjin. So before I talk about Enjin, I'm just going to take a sip of water because I have rambled on a bit. Maybe I'll answer a few questions in the chat. Let me just have a look. Like Me says, Bitcoin dominance is coming down a bit. Does this mean that altcoins are going to pump a bit? Yes, that is generally the tendency. Whenever Bitcoin dominance drops, we see altcoin dominance increase. So that's positive for altcoins, but we need to bear in mind this context, right? So I think there's a higher low on Bitcoin dominance at the moment. So we are essentially seeing the same on Bitcoin dominance we're seeing on XRP, on RVN. We're seeing these higher time frame supports being tested, and Bitcoin dominance is the same way. Nick is asking, do you think that Bitcoin correction is over now? What are the closest important levels of support and resistance? So in terms of Bitcoin's correction, I think it's definitely over since 6K. That was the 53% correction, the first major correction in a bull market. But this latest retrace is just a retrace that is part of Bitcoin's price action and historical tendencies. We see a very slow grinding towards the upside, and we tend to see small retraces along the way, because essentially speaking, we're in a ascending triangle. So this is something I was talking about in my YouTube video about why I think Bitcoin is going to 17K prior to the halving. So if you'd like to check that out, it's definitely a good resource because it shows you that ascending triangle that I'm talking about. So Elizabeth is saying, good content, but your mouth sounds dry, dude. I'll take a sip of water because that is the case. Ren, okay, there are a few TA requests, so let's dive into Enjin. Enjin right over here is, on a macro scale, definitely a strong retrace. What Enjin is doing is it's still just trying to retest this 200 daily EMA. It's quite a simple technical analysis strategy here. Retesting this 200 EMA as a support. That's all it's doing after a strong sell-off. So this is going to be, let me just have a look here in terms of the Fibonacci's. It's essentially maintaining the golden pocket, that is the 0.60, 618 and 65 level right over here. This is the golden pocket. We've seen a bit of downside action, volatile price action to dip into a pool of liquidity in a historical support zone. So at the moment it is holding this zone. As long as it continues to do that with the confluence of this 200 daily EMA, that's okay. It's okay for Enjin. It just needs to showcase price strength confirmation, which is the case with most altcoins at this time. That's just the general truth for altcoins. For ALGO, let's have a look here. Higher low, that's one thing. Higher low. And it looks like it recently broke out here. Another way to conceptualize this would be doing that. So right over here for ALGO, this is a resistance area. And right over here for ALGO is a new support area. So essentially speaking, we're just seeing a support flip for ALGO. And this support flip ties in with the 200 EMA, which isn't fully developed because we don't have that much price action for ALGO. So really not much else going. Not much else going for ALGO than that support flip. Very similar. Very, very easy. Very easy. And price strength confirmation is the key once again. So nothing too major there. Vechain Vet has had a tough time. Because if we look at the macro time frame, this is cupping action, and this is the handle. This is the handle of the cup and handle, of the macro cup and handle, but it's not been doing too well in terms of, well, testing this as a support. So it wants to test the top of this handle as a new support. So it is struggling a bit here because this is essentially a resistance. The 200 daily EMA is a resistance for VET. And like you guys saw earlier with, I can't remember what coin that was, but we're seeing a Chuvashov fork sort of situation going on here, right? So, what coin was that? If you guys remember, let me know. But essentially speaking, this is a small Chuvashov fork at these highs. This being that lower low, this being the resistance, and essentially speaking, we need to see continued support here, continued strength confirmation. That's really a recurring theme for altcoins, because essentially speaking, all these market structures are being tested for support. Altcoins are at a fundamental, crucial time where they need to hold their market structures, their macro market structures. That's really all I'm really looking for, that stability. Let's have a look at Zcash. So that's a very interesting one, because 2 weeks ago we also looked at Zcash, and I can't remember where we are. Let's say 2 weeks ago was around 14, somewhere around this time. So we were essentially consolidating at highs. We couldn't break past this level of resistance, so we're consolidating at highs. So that sometimes is distribution, and I think I even pointed out to this that this can be distribution, and in fact we saw that candle close right over here, but essentially we're still holding on to that 200 daily EMA right over here. So interesting to see that we are holding the 200 daily EMA once again. Of course, we're seeing these long downward wicks, so this area is essentially a liquidity zone for Zcash, and it just needs to hold here. How many times can this zone provide a bounce? So first, it offered a 30% bounce. Second, it offered a 20% bounce. This time, it looks like this bounce will be a little lesser. It will be smaller in magnitude. It will be a much smaller in magnitude compared to 20% bounce, because if you just notice 30%, 20%, and let's say 10, 15%, there's a lower high going on. So this liquidity pool is running out of buyers. There's less and less buyers entering Zcash at these levels, unfortunately. So there will be a limited rally for Zcash, but my only concern is how long can Zcash maintain these highs? And by highs, I mean these highs over here, before it has to correct a little bit further to just, correct for that exuberance that we saw in these green candles right over here. Alright, I'm just going to look into the live chat. And of course, guys, I did mention that I am going to be giving out a few discount codes for the Rekt Capital trading course. There were only 5 codes for the $20 discount, and I think they may have gone, so I'm just going to give a $15 discount. So here is going to be a $15 discount code for the course. For you guys who didn't manage to get in on that $20 discount. I don't want to leave you guys hanging. Here's a $15 discount for the TA course, a 5-star TA course. It's essentially the journey that I took when I first started in my technical analysis journey, in my trading journey. It will take you from beginner to intermediate. It will teach you all the basics that you need to know. It will help you develop a strong base for you to be a profitable trader by yourself. And the best thing that you can do is to be thinking for yourself in the market, not being part of the herd mentality and being contrarian in that sense that you're showcasing and using these tools to your advantage. And this is exactly what we're doing here. Just showcasing technical analysis, capturing these patterns, capturing this psychology that we're seeing here. This is essentially Cardano, and I think we spoke about this as well in the live TA stream a few weeks ago. This is essentially an ascending triangle followed by a breakout holding 200 daily EMA here, and then we see a breakout to a resistance right over here. This was essentially one of the major resistances for ADA. That's why we saw such a sharp rejection. But essentially speaking, small bounce from the 200 daily EMA, which just shows that this isn't really a good support anymore. Not at the moment, at least. But we are seeing a successful retest of the macro ascending triangle, which is positive. But we need to see that, of course, this support, the 200 daily EMA, is losing buyers. But is it gaining sellers? So we have to see if this 200 daily EMA is going to be a resistance. And if we had weak buyers as in its role as a support, will it have strong sellers? Sometimes that's the case. And that's just something we need to watch out for. For the time being, we have a wick to this resistance. It is figuring as a resistance. We can see that already now. But the thing is, we're going to just see sandwiching here. Which area is going to give way? Because essentially, ADA has broken out of its macro ascending triangle. So it just needs to retest it, which it has. So far, so good. It needs to hold above this ascending triangle. And that's going to be positive for ADA. But this 200 daily exponential moving average resistance is going to be a problem in the short term. So we are going to see this area essentially be maintained for ADA. So no setup really over here, just that successful retest of the macro ascending triangle and that immediate resistance. Timothy says, thank you for Zek. Loris says, got it, thanks. My pleasure, guys. Happy to help you guys here with some TA. Here's Aion. And this is a crazy coin because, of course, this triangle over here was a pattern that I was talking about in Rekt Premium. So actually, I might even... Let me have a look. Just a moment, guys. I'm looking for that right over here. So if we just look at Aion here, this is exactly the setup that I was sharing in Rekt Premium a that was on the February 19th. A week and a bit ago. And if we just look at this setup, this is essentially that triangle. We're seeing coiling in towards the apex of this triangle, essentially a flagging structure. And the thing that I pointed out to Rekt Premium members is that we see FOMO wicks right over here. FOMO wicks over here as well. So it is very important to just bear in mind that we needed to see confirmation here, right? Because we did see that FOMO wick here as well, but later on we saw a beautiful successful retest of this black diagonal as a new support, and that's fantastic because we saw springboarding to the upside in Aion's price, 26% uptrend, and of course this was the next resistance for Aion, a weak resistance overall, but still strong enough to reject price. So that was a picture perfect rejection. This was what I shared in Rekt Premium, so really happy with that. That was a very good one. And what we're seeing here with Aion is we've seen a pump since then. That rejection, of course, happened, but a recovery also happened. So interesting to see, because at the moment, this previous resistance is turning into a new support. And the thing is, this resistance wasn't a strong one. It wasn't a strong one at all. But the thing is, if you see a 30% rally towards the upside, you have to have a pullback. You know, if you see a breakout, you have a new trend develop, but then a retrace allows for new buyers to step in. I don't know if this was entirely organic, to be honest, guys. This happened when all the altcoins and Bitcoin were retracing towards the downside. It didn't look like too big of organic price movement, to be honest. But in any case, on a technical level, we are seeing that this weak resistance, generally speaking, is now turning into a new support. So this is where buyers are stepping in. So right over here, this is going to be a support, and we need to continue seeing that movement. Let's zoom in on the 4-hour. There we go. So it is a bit clearer what's going on here, because we are seeing a higher low here. But at the same time, if you want to take this wick into account, we are seeing this sort of triangle develop. So interesting to see, because as long as we have that price strength confirmation, this is going to turn into a flag. So this support is faring pretty well so far. High or low, people are buying at a premium, but people are also happy to sell if they get a chance. So these people sold at a higher price. People are happy to sell at a lower price than this high price. And we're going to see that tendency continue until we see a break to either side. So far, potential flagging structure on Aion. But after a rally like this, it has to be a coiling, continued holding of this higher low, and as long as that happens, positive signs for Aion. So I'm going to check the chat. Going to have a look at the chat because I've been rambling on a little bit. We'll move on to XTZ afterwards, so happy to answer a few questions. Leslie says, thanks so much for ADA. My pleasure, Leslie. Elias is saying, did you cover XLM? I entered late. We can cover XLM. I'll put that one in there as well. XLM has more. Where's Bittrex? There we go. Nick says, send Aion to 6,000 sats. You can't. Well, that's a way away. That's a way away. Some strong buyers would have to enter to shoot it all the way there, in the short term at least. But Lorenzo, Link please looks the most interesting to me. So Link, we covered Link earlier, Lorenzo. So check out the stream earlier. I shared my thoughts there. FTM BTC, multi-month falling wedge, bull divs. Let's cover FTM as well. Alright, but first, Roshan is asking, what time zone are you? UTC, my friend, UTC. Jan is saying, thanks for Aion. It seems bullish and kind of charged coin to ride with. Definitely, I mean, a flagging structure potentially in the making. So that price strength confirmation is very important. Okay, XTZ. So XTZ. Well, the most important thing to note about XTZ is that it had that double bottom breakout. Around here, that's where that validation happened, right? So, not the most beautiful double bottoms, but one nonetheless. So we've broken that very important point for XTZ. And this is, of course, the listing price for XTZ right over here, which is essentially figuring as a support. Let's turn on the volume. Let's turn on the volume here, because this is something that we're seeing increasing volume here constantly. So I'm just going to change the color here to black. We're seeing increasing volume, not a lot of sell side action, a lot of increasing volume, buy volume. But in terms of a setup, I mean, in terms of a setup, this is a lower time frame sideways flag or more of a standard flag. So we're seeing a U-shaped reversal, and a confirmation would be a 4-hour close above this level. But there is no trend until then. So if we see that breakout, then we'll probably see further price movement towards the upside. But this price action, I mean, Tezos at these highs, lots of buy volume. This doesn't have to necessarily be a good sign, because buy exhaustion is a factor. So it is one of those high top performing coins in the space. But something I'd also be watching out for is we have this sort of situation right over here, this sort of situation. So if we see a breakout from this 4-hour flag, if we see that sort of topping out around here, then that would only lend further evidence to the fact that we might be seeing this sort of, I don't want to say head and shoulders, because the volume profile doesn't tie in with that head and shoulders characteristic. Something I talk about in the patterns tutorial and webinar in my course. I talk about every single pattern and formation there is when it comes to technical analysis, how to enter, how to exit, and what the volume profile for those patterns are. So that's very detailed in that course. So right over here, the volume profile for that potential head and shoulders, that's not the volume profile that you'd see in a textbook formation like that. But the price action is looking like that for the time being. So I just like to see XTZ print a daily candle above this resistance, not to be bearish on it in the short term. I wouldn't want to be buying at these highs if we can't clear that resistance, that red resistance right over here, because we could see that sort of curling out at these highs and then a return towards this level. And the thing is, with this level, it does tie in with the fact that, you know, we've seen all these different rallies from this level over here, and over here as well. We might have to think about this level weakening, you know, we might have to think about that. So that's my view on XTZ. It's never a good idea buying at highs anyway. OGN, it does look like aside from this very subtle higher low, it does look like there's a double bottom at highs. OGN, let's just take it from here. Beautiful downward wick into the golden pocket, and the golden pocket is generally where we tend to see reversals and buy support, because we tend to see a lot of algos operating in that region. The 0.618 level is a region that's essentially, there's something in our psychology that the 0.618 region always triggers in us that we want to buy there. There's just a lot of panic at that region, and there's just that sort of impulse for people to panic sell over there and cause sell side exhaustion, which is why we tend to see buying up, you know, because if there's exhaustion in sellers, they're very exhausted, they can't sell anymore, so it just takes a little bit of buy pressure to press price up. So it's very useful observing the volume for these sort of sell side exhaustion moments. So in any case, I mean, this could even look like a subtle ascending triangle at highs, but we are seeing a lot of FOMO wicks getting trapped. Oh, I drew that a little bit poorly, so let me try that again. There we go. Something like that, right? Something like that. Ascending triangle, very subtle. And the thing is, we are seeing a lot of FOMO buyers here, which isn't a good thing. Right over here, a lot of FOMO buyers, and we just need that confirmation, that daily candle close above this level, because otherwise people who are going to be FOMOing without that confirmation, they're going to get trapped, like people here, 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 and here. Moving on to the next one, XLM. So I think I covered this one 2 weeks ago, and it looks like we've seen beautiful price action in the sense that this ascending triangle resolved and we saw rejection from the 200 daily EMA. Just perfect movement. So this isn't a trade I took. I actually forgot about XLM, didn't really think about it, but my TA was on point, it seems. Breakout from the ascending triangle, rejection from the 200 daily EMA, and ever since it's been in not a good spot, really. It's just returned to its accumulation range. So what we could see in the short term is a bearish retest. So we could see this sort of movement, bearish retest. Oh, that's the wrong tool. I'll take the brush. So at maximum, maybe something like this. But in any case, this level is gonna, it could become a resistance. So that's something, it doesn't have a setup. It doesn't have a setup at all. It just returned into the accumulation range after a beautiful rally towards the upside, perfectly timed, and there is no setup at the moment. It's not really even respecting a higher time frame support like we're seeing across other altcoins. That's also the thing that we need to bear in mind. So this one could still see some uninteresting movement, really, towards in the short term at least. And FTM. And before I cover FTM, I'm just gonna clear the drawings. Before I cover FTM, I'm just gonna have a look here in the comments in the live chat. If you guys have any questions. I do have a small announcement that I was saving for in this live stream, and I'm very, very interested and excited by it, because I'd like to share with you guys the very first Rekt t-shirt, limited edition. I am so pumped about this. This is when I designed this t-shirt, and I was like, man, I'd love to share this with my followers. I'm just pumped looking at this t-shirt. I've ordered a few already. There is a limited supply because, of course, you have to order a few at a time. I don't want to order 1,000. I just want to share it with you guys for now. I'm not even going to be posting about this to my Twitter or anything like that. I'm just going to be posting this right here, right now with you guys in the live chat, because you guys have been, I've seen you guys appearing in my live streams, in my webinars. It's just great to see and have that consistent contact with you. And I feel like this is just a thing that I can share with you guys, a Rekt t-shirt. And it was very kind of Teespring, so where I'm actually hosting this t-shirt, it was very kind of Teespring to provide me with a 10% discount code. So they offered me a discount code of 10%. So if you check out the link in the live chat right over here to check out the t-shirt, it is limited edition. It is kind of a collectible, so not a lot of these t-shirts at the moment. We'll see how that goes, but in the meantime, Teespring was very kind that they offered me a 10% discount code for you guys. It's the least I could do. The discount code, of course, is MARD1GRAS. So Nick is saying, wow, Rekt t-shirt just for me. That's awesome to see that sort of excitement in the live chat about the t-shirt. I'm super excited about it as well. It's a great t-shirt to wear at the trading desk when you're charting, when you're just analyzing the psychology in the volume. So super excited about this t-shirt. Check it out. 10% off for you guys. Limited edition. Not many t-shirts here. I'm not going to be sharing it with my Twitter at the moment because there aren't many there, and I really want you guys to have a good chance at just checking them out and having one for yourself. So right here is Fantom, and somebody, Frederick, has said ETH BTC. More than happy to do ETH BTC right over here. Man, I'm so excited about that t-shirt. It's something that I was thinking about doing for a while, and I'm just really pumped because when I first saw it, I was like, yes, this is what it's all about. So Fantom has been in a downtrend, and somebody said that in the it's been in a downtrend, and somebody said this in the live chat as well. Downtrend, and here we've got limited price history. It's difficult to do any TA, really. Yeah, it's not a coin I'd do anything with, to be honest with you, because if we've got this limited price history, this is essentially all-time low. We've seen constant sell-side action. It's not something I'd be interested in, whatever the technical positioning, whether it's got bull divs or not. These bull divs are fundamentally based on previous price history here on Binance, and there isn't a lot of that price history, so I wouldn't place too much emphasis on bull divs or any sort of RSI things like that. So definitely not interested in this because of the limited price history. But what I can say about Ethereum BTC, this was an interesting one. Leslie says, awesome t-shirt. Awesome to hear that, Leslie. Definitely check it out because 10% off. Teespring was really happy to offer 10% off for you guys in this webinar session. So that's the official launch of the Rekt t-shirt. So super excited about it, and super excited to see that you guys are loving it as well. So 10% off. Check it out. And really, Ethereum BTC here is something I was talking about in my YouTube channel. So when we think about zooming out, let's zoom out here on Ethereum BTC. So every time we break out past this 200 daily EMA, we always see strong price action. So I'm just going to hide all the technical analysis, break out past the 200 daily EMA, and then break out past the 200 daily EMA. I also mentioned that we also see a pullback from those highs after around a 17 to 23% rally. We see a pullback to test this 200 daily EMA as a new support before rallying towards the upside. And I really feel like we could see history repeat itself, because every time we've seen a breakout, we saw a 36% rally this time round in this cycle, and that's only a testament to how overextended Ethereum BTC has become. And on my Twitter, I actually posted that I was bearish on Ethereum BTC around these highs because bearish divergences were a factor. They've definitely played out since, and this level, this green level, might be turning into a resistance as we're seeing here. This could be bearish confirmation, but I'm not expecting a clean bearish confirmation because, like we saw in the past, it gets complicated at this level. This level is just very unclear for Ethereum BTC. Lots of buyers and sellers, lots of volatility here. very much similar to $260 for Ethereum USD. We tend to see, that support and that resistance, they're just very flimsy supports. There is no real stability there. So we will see a lot of volatility at this level here. So even if we see a break above this green level and even a confirmation, you have to bear in mind that that's not, strong confirmation that would mean we'd go up. In fact, I just expect to see that volatility here before a real trend shift. So this isn't a good time to buy Ethereum BTC for me personally at these highs, especially given the historical context where I'd like a retrace towards the 200 daily EMA, which is really creeping up quite considerably over time. Faye says, great t-shirt. Awesome. That's super excited about that t-shirt. Nick is saying, Rekt, your 17,000 pre-halving price target for BTC is quite high. Do you think Ethereum can hit 900 in this case? I don't think Ethereum would do that. I think Ethereum at max would reach 360. And I've spoken about this in the Dogecoin video where we're seeing an ascending triangle in Ethereum USD. I'll just chart that quickly. So on the weekly, right over here, if we just take away this, then you can see this higher low right over here, and then the resistance right over here. So essentially, this would be the resistance, $310, and at the moment, this ascending triangle is still very much valid, but it would be interesting to see if Bitcoin does go on a tear, would Ethereum breach past this 360 level, or will it just approach that level? So it does matter what we're seeing at the same time, what happens at the same time. Like me says, if you add your Twitter profile picture on the t-shirt, it is going to be crazy. Yeah, man, I definitely agree with you there. This one is going to be a limited edition, the Rekt shirt. The Rekt t-shirt is going to be a limited edition. I don't have many of them in stock, so it is going to be a sort of collectible item. The first Rekt Capital t-shirt, just to put it out there. Really looks cool, and there's a 10% discount on there. But at the same time, I'm more than happy to make a Rekt Capital t-shirt in the future. But for now, it would be just this one. Really excited for it in any case. So I'm just going to take a sip of water. Illicit says, what price of Ethereum can you see after 6 months halving? Well, based on the historical price action in Bitcoin, we'd see uptrending price action from Bitcoin. So I think we'd see uptrending price action from Ethereum as well. But this is a topic that I'm going to be talking about in the Bitcoin halving and its effect on altcoins next Thursday. The live webinar will be at 7 p.m. UTC next Thursday, March 5th. You will get your unique code on March 4th. You'll get exclusive access to the webinar on March 5th. It is $5.99, just a pre-order discount right over here for you guys. The Bitcoin halving and its effect on altcoins, it's a very nuanced effect. So definitely excited to be talking about that. I've already prepared a lot of the research, so I'm even ready to go ahead and talk about it tomorrow. But let's talk about it in the live webinar next week, next Thursday. Just going to have a look at a few live chat questions before we slowly wrap up. More than happy to go on a little bit longer. Usually these live sessions are an hour long, but of course I always stay on a little bit longer anyway. I always have fun with you guys and answering your questions and taking your TA requests. So if you guys have any further questions, any last questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Octav is saying, do you consider fundamental analysis in combo with TA, or you just focus on TA? Fantastic question. It's a great question because when we consider altcoin hype cycles, and this is something I was talking about in the webinar last week, essentially speaking, if you're thinking about altcoin hype cycles, You're seeing this in Ethereum's price action as well. This sort of cycling in the psychology, in the DNA of the price action. And you see these cycles in the prices of other altcoins, because after all, Ethereum is a leading indicator for altcoins. So whenever you see altcoins, or at least Ethereum, lead the way, other altcoins are also going to be following suit. And when do these altcoins follow suit? They follow suit in their hype cycles. So essentially, this is a hype cycle for Ethereum, and these hype cycles are extremely cyclical, and they're basically divided into quarters. And quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4, we tend to see movements in altcoin price action due to people buying the hype when people are fearful, and buying the rumor ahead of any announcements, updates, and developments, and then selling the news and selling that rumor once we have those updates out. So that tends to happen at the end of each quarter. So we tend to see the beginning of altcoin hype cycles before the end of the quarter, and we see the end of those altcoin hype cycles at the end of the quarter. Illicit says, I will join your seminar next week. You're more than welcome to. That's great that you want to join. More than happy to see you there. There's a pre-order discount, so go ahead, make the most of it, and it'll be awesome to see you there, Illicit. Octave's asking, how do you know that it's the end of a cycle? That's a very complex question. For altcoins, it's a little bit easier because of those altcoin hype cycles and the cyclicity that we see in Ethereum's price action, in altcoin dominance, in Bitcoin dominance, and whatnot. So it's very interesting to see that sort of cyclicity in altcoins. So you can see these different points of rejection in these altcoin hype cycles, and this is something I was talking about in last week's webinar. So if you'd like to check it out, feel free. Tons of information about that. Very complex topic. I wouldn't be able to cover it in 5 minutes. That webinar was 1 hour long, 1 hour 10 or 20 minutes long, in fact. So you can watch it at any time. It was recorded. But okay, a few last TA requests. TRX on Binance. So I think Bittrex had a bit more price history, right? Am I mistaken about that? Yes, okay. All right, let's have a look here. I'm just going to clear this because it's a bit of a mess. All right, so it's difficult to where is that support? I mean, you can't really see the support on Tron. So it looks like this. Really not too good. I don't know what else to say here. This doesn't look interesting to me in the slightest because we've seen a rejection. So essentially speaking, this is a channel that Tron is in. This is the mid-range of that channel. So at the moment, it is comfortably in the top half of the channel. So whenever we have to look at a range, we always think about ranges in two parts. This is one part, so that's the top, the higher part. The second top, the other half, the top half of the range, and this is the lower half. So essentially speaking, this is the mid-range, the midpoint, and if we see a breakdown from here, then we're going to see price decline into the lower half of this range and to test this all-time low, which it looks like that is the all-time low. So if that all-time low breaks, that wouldn't be very good. That would be very bad, actually. So we'd see price discovery towards the downside. So important for Tron to hold this mid-range because otherwise it could be in some serious trouble. Octave says, haha, no problem, thanks, very educational, awesome. Well, I'm really happy that you guys enjoyed the session. That's about it for today's live session. Really happy that you guys joined me today. Your TA requests were plentiful. Happy that we went through a lot of those. The conclusion that I'd like to leave you guys with is that the current context for the market is that all altcoins are currently testing their higher time frame supports, and these supports are part of the macro market structures for altcoins. So it's very important that these altcoins hold there. We're going to see some rallies from those supports as long as Bitcoin holds that 200 EMA. So that's something to bear in mind. Bitcoin itself has to showcase some strength when we're looking at its recent rebound from the 200 daily EMA, if it can have that volume, because we haven't seen a lot of sell side volume. And the reason I say that is that if there is a lot of sell side volume, seller exhaustion, right? Something we were talking about earlier. If we see a lot of sell side exhaustion, a lot of sell side pressure, then it's easy for the bulls to come back and step in and take charge, because it doesn't require a lot of effort from the bulls to do that in terms of volume. So we need to see how that volume plays out over the next few days. In the short term, really important, but of course the resistances that we have ahead, so 9,000, and of course the range high resistance of 9,300. Those are those points of references that will give us an idea as to how strong this recent relief rally in Bitcoin will be, because if it can't breach 9,000, then it's a very weak bounce, and we probably could see a breakdown from the 200 daily EMA if that bounce truly is weak and bulls don't step in. So awesome to see you guys in the chat. Thank you so much for the engagement, for your great questions, for the TA requests. I've had a great time. Thanks so much. If you guys want to join the live webinar next week about Bitcoin, the Bitcoin halving and its effect on altcoins, feel free to join. Pre-order discount $5.99. Check it out, of course. And if you want to get your t-shirt, the limited edition of the unique one and only Rekt t-shirt, check it out, a 10% discount on that as well. And what else can I say? Thanks so much. Thank you so much for taking the time. I had a blast, and I will speak to you soon. Next week is the live webinar, but in 2 weeks time, more than happy to do another live session like this. Once again, it will be the same time, same day and same place, but different date. So I'll see you then and speak to you soon. Thanks so much for joining, and I'll speak to you then.